Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, hey, got some stuff to go over. I had a big weekend. It was a lot of fun.
What did you do? I saw that you met a certain Meow Man,
I met a Meow Man.
and that he is a YouTuber too.
He is in fact a YouTuber too. I did get to meet up and hang out with Sir Meow Music.
My brain is completing his name to Hans Meow Man.
I mean, you can do that. But yeah, no, that was super cool. So there's a big tournament this weekend, and Billy and his husband Brad came out, and yeah, I got to hang out with them. Two fine gentlemen. Just enjoyed the locals and the environment of this
You're
tournament.
talking about UMAD, right?
So UMAD Battle of Z. It was a 2-for-1 basically. There was a cross major going on, and yeah, Ultimate Montreal Air Dashers cross Battle of Z. They took an awesome venue space that is literally a church and turned it into an FGC event. So like the pictures that I posted or retweeted were just like, you have the giant like where the aisle would be, where the tabernacle would be, all that. Just there's many churches that basically are on every street corner, like gas stations in
City of
Montreal.
1,000 steeples, man.
Yeah. Back in the day, they could not get enough of their churches, and now they can't get away from them fast enough, really.
Would you like a condo that looks like a church?
Yeah. So,
yes, I would.
I mean, the
says every developer in the province.
I mean, here's the thing: like, the churches are like architecturally awesome, and they're really great venue events. And so the way that I was talking to the organizers, and the way that they found this place was because they went there for Beer Fest. So they went in for a beer fest that's usually held in this church, and then they're like, "Oh, this would be a great place to hold an event." And I was like, "Oh, like, God is no longer in this house. Like, he's long gone."
No.
But
Wait. That just hit me. Like, it took a second. Like, this church would be a good place to hold an event.
yes,
That's what it's for. It's for events.
but like, as a church, there's always that, like, well, we're going to decide what kind of event we'll hold. Is there degeneracy? Is there thuggery? Then no, we can't, but yeah, they had
I mean, like, a church is just a large-scale enclosed event space.
yes, but the type of event is usually discriminatory, is the problem. So because this event space has been freed from the shackles, and because it's now just that space, there's the ability to have a cool thing like a fucking tournament there. So yeah.
What if we did something cool with this space?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, right? I walked in there, and I did notice that the Spirit of the Lord was absent, so I took it upon myself to do something about it. You best believe I entered DNF Duel, and I did my hammer loops and praised the Lord, so that we can bring the Spirit of the Lord back into this place. So yeah, don't you worry. We got some scripture in there. It was a good time. Yeah, I mean, God. So I guess, like, for starters, walking in, I saw that in the basement there was a boxing gym. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So I went to use the bathroom, and then I kind of walked to, and I was like, let me just stick my head in, and I took a look, and I saw the setup, and I was like, hold on a minute. I recognize a bunch of shit here, and holy fuck, there's my old coach who opened up a second gym over here and has basically been teaching out of this place under a church now. And like I'm like, what the fuck? And so we just caught back up, and I was like, yo, and like literally just like the dude who I used to train with like all the time, like shout outs Coach Lou. opened up a second place over there, the performance center, and I was just like, we got a fucking under the fucking church boxing gym. Like, how fucking sick is that for a setting? And everyone's doing they're grinding it out, they're doing their jabs, practicing the drills, you know, and he's teaching. And yeah, man, it was just great to run into old faces and see what's up, you know. And it was a very, like, I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. This feels like kismet, you know? And he's like, yeah, if you ever want to just come back around, hit the mitts a little bit, you know, do some bag work, just come in, even if your schedule, you know, can't work in what it used to be, come around, have a good time, you know? And I was like, yeah, I think I will. So I'm gonna see if I can make that happen, man, because like there was something like I can say is probably spiritually fulfilling about just getting in there and again working the ring, doing all the good shit, you know. And when you have the right vibes too, and like when you have especially like a cool ass coach with just lots of fucking soul and just, you know, picking you up and then knocking you down and getting you into it, like that attitude is all there. I fucking miss it. So yeah, man, that was a good sign immediately. I'm like, oh my god, we got a fucking new venue, and what's cool too is that like, it's a bit of a smaller space where you can like work with like people more personally, because the class I was a part of was a much bigger one. So like you get quality time in, but you'd only get a few minutes because you have to go through like a giant class. But now it's a much smaller group, so that was fucking dope. And then, yeah, the venue itself, they had a really cool setup because basically, as a FGC major, like there was basically a giant Street Fighter 6 tournament, and then there was a giant Smash event as well. So they had a really smart thing where they set it up where there's 2 floors. There's the upper balcony to the church, and that's where booze is allowed. You can bring your own.
Booze in a church?
Right. Vraiment Québécois style, you know? You gotta fucking smoke, drink, and have a May West in the back of the church. And yeah, no, so upstairs they had the booze and they had all the side tournaments, and so that's where like you could go up and drink, and like minors were only allowed on the downstairs area if you were coming to enter and stuff. So
that works.
Yeah,
just split them.
That's it, you know. And yeah, there was a ton of side events as well. Like, it's always fun. Like, one of the cool things about UMed is that there's always the major games, but they will have a ton of TOs being like, yo, we're gonna run a bracket for fucking Cyberbots. Who wants in? And I'm like, yo, let's go. Run it. I remember that shit, you know? I learned 1 or 2 things. Let's do it. So there was, yeah, they ran all kinds of little side game brackets, and I jumped into a bunch of them too, because again, how often do you get the chances, you know? So
for a Cyberbots bracket, like once every 4 to never
yeah,
years?
You know. So I entered Cyberbots, whatever. I did it. I fought a little bit. I got 4th place. That's fine. You know, I did my one little thing that I learned from the Twitch Rivals event. And, you know, did some carrying there. I guess that I entered DNF Duel, and that game has had, like, updates, and there's a new character dropping, and they've been teasing the character for a year. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that.
That DNF Duel thing might be the funniest fighting game trailer I've ever seen.
Like,
here's the new character, and it's like a 2.5 minute
not even 2.5 minutes
of them dropping combos and getting beat up.
I mean, it's like they do like the 18-second thing, you know, which anyway, whatever. They got their marketing plan, but there's all kinds of season changes that I was not aware of and keeping up with. But I just picked Crusader, went back in there, did some fucking Blessed Hammer loops all the way to 4th. So again, I'll take that, you know, not bad.
If you had won, would you have walked away going, yeah, man, this game is trash?
I don't even play this game. I don't even play this game.
I don't even play it.
It's the ultimate OS, the ultimate mix-up. You can't even, you know, you can't destroy it. Yeah, no, I was surprised by some of the bullshit too, because I was watching like as some of the updates involved more or less. I don't know if you remember Berserker, the character that looked more or less like a Super Saiyan with the bloody hand and the big blood. Yeah, so. The game is officially like a 2-touch scenario where it kind of was that already for some characters, but you're watching him where he just literally touches you twice and that's the round if they don't fuck up everything, you know. But Yeah, no, the hammer, the word of God is still good, and you know we rock that shit. We don't do any of the new season 2 shit. That's heresy. We keep it Old Testament, and we do what the Lord bids us, and that carries us to higher in the bracket than we should be placing for a game that we don't play. But that was a lot of fun. And then they ran a Sam Show bracket, so. Again, really? Let's fucking go. Let's play some Sam Show.
You finally got to play Sam Show for the first time in however long with, like, what appeared to be human gameplay.
Human beings were there, and it made me just sad because I missed it so hard. After trying out the bad rollback that's currently underway, and again, I know that, like, they're working on it. They are taking the feedback. I have my fingers crossed. But, like, playing it properly, offline, just getting good matches in, was so like, ugh, because I did a bunch of sick shit. You know, I had some nice reads, I had some nice deflects, I had some nice moments of just remembering how to darly that shit, and I got second place, you know? And I'm like, okay, like...
game.
I don't even play this game, bro.
No one plays that game.
No. You know? And quite frankly, as Jimmy Bones rolled in later, and he's like, dude, I wasn't there, you should have won. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough, you know. But anyways, it was still like, I want this game so badly, dude. It's so much fun when it has no fucking hurdles between you and the fun that it's trying to give you. That's how it really breaks down, is just like, this can be a fucking spectacular experience if the game itself is not getting in its own way. But if an opportunity presents itself, I'm always going to jump in, you know? There's nothing that feels as good as just landing that, like, fucking heavy slash with Darley and ripping through half your life bar with a good read. It's so sick. So yeah, did some of that. Of course, Street Fighter 6. Hey man, it is what it is.
Now?
So
you're not.
So I put together. I definitely got the memo. Everyone blew my shit up to let me know about the MENA, and like I said last time, I'm like, I know MENA's doing it. There's some real Blanca shit out there. Shout outs Wolfgang as well, and Nishkin, and a bunch of Blancas doing work. Insane Tech. I went back in. I put together a Blanca. I do have a Blanca now. It's there.
Hooray!
You know. I feel as if. I mean, a lot of people have been asking me about it, and I feel like there's a kind of a difference between Street Fighter 4 Blanca had a lot of gimmicky things, and then when I test them on you and you know how to deal with them, then I have to stop doing them and then rely on down back, you know, just a defensive Honda style of like, all right, we're gonna get lame now, and that's how Blanca could take matches in Street Fighter 4. You can't down back in this game anymore, right? Street Fighter 6 is not about letting you do that. There's way too many ways
Honda
to
can do that, but I mean, and Guile can do that.
They can, but you gotta, you know, there's ways around it. It sucks. It's annoying to deal with, but you know, there are things. But like down backing is way harder now. So, yeah, that is one of the things where you're like, okay, so what do you do then if you can't run that old game plan? And the answer is his level 2 and his toy, right? You throw out the doll.
And the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life.
And then you get fucking a solid maybe 15 seconds of absolute cracked out nonsense.
You get to turn into a character from a different style of fighting game for 15 seconds.
Yes. Which, you know, think about those install level 2s. Like, that's what Jury gets to turn into a Marvel character. You know, Jamie gets just maxed the fuck out. Like, it is absolutely like, yeah, there's some nice things that go with the transformation into having a character that can install. But you get to do that, and then it's very real. And I better have my setups labbed. I better have all my tech put together, and you better know what's coming. Because if I open you up, I'm gonna take that life.
Yeah, Blanca is like a physical JP.
But
like a body projectile
his
version
body,
of JP's nonsense.
His body is doing it, yeah. But then once the lightning beast wears off, you are back to, you know, gimmicks and whatever fundamentals you can put together. So, and of course the thing is, I think right now the gimmicks are gonna work for a lot of people that don't know or are not looking out for it. But this is my projection as to the strength of the character. He's really, really good if the person has not prepared, and if they have, then you can create opportunities. Airball is always going to be good. But yeah, I put together a Blanca. I'm rambling, whatever.
I feel like, and this is from the other side of it, I feel like Blanca has more gimmicks this time.
So
like in Street Fighter 4, he had gimmicks.
Yes.
And I didn't really see much of him in 5, but I feel like he has, like, they're the same types of stupid hopping around, you know, screen space. Oh, I'm in a weird cross up with the ball shit. But I feel like he has more. Yes. There are more of them to do.
And those are coming from Street Fighter 5, right? So the command grab that hops at you, for example, is a...
What is that?
Yeah, exactly. It's a holdover from the last game, as well
Street
as...
Fighter 4?
Yeah, well, no, there was one in between.
There was?
Yeah, and that's where the different arcs of his up ball as well became so drastically different. They held over a lot of his Street Fighter 5 design, as well as the coward crouch hop stuff, as you know, all of those things came over. So the gimmicks are like, yeah, implementations into his new character design, essentially, as a like setup lab trap character, yada yada. But it's there. It's possible. It's gonna take, like I said, someone's willingness to go in and make sure they know how to deal with this. And I think anyone that you get blown up by, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, fuck this. I got to go figure it out. You know.
There's something that's happening to me in ranked matches, which are still like fast and furious, which is incredible. Which is the character popularity is influencing the strength of matchups. Like Dalsim and Blanca, I'm fighting one a day.
Yes.
If that.
Yes. This has the unknown factor has always been real. I talk about it a bunch of times. I always say it because it's simple. It's like Dalsim is the least popular character on the roster. Yet yesterday, a Dalsim player, there was 2 Dalsims in top 8, one of which made 3rd place. And quite simply, they're good players, but if you also just don't have the experience fighting against them, you're not going to know about the tech. You're not going to, you're not going to know about all the wild shit that they've come up with. And if you're seeing juries every day, you're going to get used to the sneaky shit jury can do.
Yeah, like Jury and JP are excellent. And I see them as 40% of my total matches.
And then another thing as well, which like this is also Ken is way the fuck, yeah.
Boy, I'm learning that Ken matchup.
Yep,
a lot.
Everyone is. Ken and Jury are up there, right? Ken and Jury are doing really well right now compared to the rest of the cast. Now, I always say that it's really, you don't want to ever start talking about tiers too early and stuff because it's really silly when the game is barely out of the gate. But
there is one actually very interesting discussion to be made about tiers. I forget the gentleman's name. I retweeted it earlier this week. Mike Ross found it, so maybe I can find that.
Okay.
But it's a Japanese player who has hit master rank
with everybody,
every single character in the game, and then put their tier list out. And it's like, that's not objective for the world, right? For different players. But it's a decent start.
Oh, it was High Tiny that did it? Okay, yeah, High Tiny.
Yeah, it was High Tiny.
High Tiny's a fucking god. Yeah,
High Tiny.
Yeah. Okay, absolutely. That's that is credibility right there. And it's interesting too because Japan has their feelings about things. Like Japan currently feels like Luke is like way up there, and Luke is amazing.
Here, I sent you the tier list.
Luke is amazing, but America is kind of like sleeping on it a little bit, here and there. But we're seeing more, and the results are coming in. Anyway, but all this to say that like it is inevitable that people's become obsessed with tier lists because it's like, one, it's the categorizer within us wants to put the labels up and stack everything, and 2, we want answers to why we're struggling and where we're at and how things feel and how much the character is carrying me or how much I have to work harder against the character who's actually just better than mine, right?
I recently had this feeling extraordinarily strongly. I did a stream on Canada Day for a couple hours where I'm like, I should learn how to play Manon because Manon is clearly just better than Geef. It's same basic archetype, but just much better. And what I discovered is that I have a long fucking way to go before my Manon is any better than my Geef.
No,
even if she is like, you know, high A or whatever the fuck.
Because you've got 30 years of Geef memory.
Of Geef. Yeah.
And those fundamentals, like, cannot be quickly learned. The instincts you have in how to move with him, when to grab, when to knee, when to approach, and how to space things out just a little bit. You tweak them between games, but that memory is core.
Yeah, I discovered something very interesting doing that. Like, very interesting. And what I figured out is the reason why I feel so comfortable with Geef is because Geef's drive rush is terrible. Because Geef's drive rush is so awful, he actually has very few options and reasons to use it, which means my Geef game plan occasionally uses drive rush, but not a lot. Whereas with somebody else who is better, like Manon has a lot of good uses for her drive rush, but I don't know how to do them because I barely use drive rush.
Interesting. So I'll say that, like, the strong Geefs I fight make generous use of drive rush, because as a mechanic, it is just great for the entire roster. But some people get it better than others, right? Like we were talking about DJ the other day. DJ gets the best drive rush in the game in exchange for the inability to do a crouching medium kick into a drive rush, right? Because
he also seems to have no real overhead, which
yeah, well, he has it out of just cool. It's baked into the mix.
Yeah, but that's like long. That's a long overhead.
Yeah, it's still baked.
Like
it's baked in the mix. There's a high low.
No, but what I mean is Ryu and Guile and Jamie are doing like overhead, and Jury and Ken are doing like overheads into stuff, whereas fucking DJ's overhead is a knockdown.
So what you're often getting is the drive rush into overhead, and then you get plus frames for doing a combo. But
you get to do stuff.
But yeah, no. So you have this thing where the feeling of like wanting to know where my character's at and how much like and there's even like I like there's the 4D tier list where it's like okay, it's not like it's not S through F. It's actually has faults, has less faults, and then requires effort or carries you. You know.
Yeah, that's a nice.
It's an interesting.
I saw people talking about Ken for that that like metric, in which I was learning Manon or trying to learn Manon, and was like, well, I'm like, she's top tier, right? And somebody responded, well, she can't be top tier because she needs to take risks at all, unlike Ken, who doesn't need to take risks.
And
I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And some of these strong players that we have that I was, like again watching this weekend, like there's Rami, a really strong player from Montreal, who basically switched off of Manon to messing around, to playing with Ken for now, because like he's like, yeah, there's just too many things here that I don't like. She has to put herself out there, and the process of being consistent at this game is minimizing how many risks you have to take, right?
Like Manon excels at putting people into 50-50s, but what if you didn't need to have a 50-50? What if you had a 100-0?
Yeah, the difference between the strongest players and kind of strong players and people that are a little better than average is how much they're able to eliminate the need for a guess, right? And to be perfectly honest, the strongest players that make it as far as they can go in brackets, there's barely ever a moment where they don't already know what they're about to get going next. They have sequences, and then when you do something to change them, they shift into another lane of pressure. Right, so if you're kind of like if you want to, it's a lot to think about, certainly if you're especially getting used to the ropes, but if you just want a difference between how the mentality is working at high level versus at mid or low level, like a lot of mid and low level is like, let me try something. Okay, it didn't work. All right, what should I do? Okay, maybe this might work, right? And that's not happening at higher level. At higher level, it's like, no, we've got lanes, and we're jumping between them, and then we go like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do a crazy one here that they haven't seen yet. We got an opening. Run the sequence, you know? So what ends up happening, too, now, as a result of all that, is there are tier lists. However, there are tier lists that are massively different based on your skill level.
Yeah.
If you are a beginner, that is a different tier list compared to if you are a fucking master or an expert.
I forget who put it out, but somebody put out a tier list based on modern mode. And it was totally different from all the lists we're seeing. Like Geef, like at beginner levels, is unequivocally the best character in modern mode because the ability to use a one-button SPD against beginners,
unbelievable,
is the best thing that's ever happened to anyone in a fighting game.
Yes, because here's the thing. From level 0, I've never played this video game before ever, up until like I've gotten comfortable and I can do my stuff, but I'm still kind of like taking guesses here and there. There's always going to be a moment where somewhere in pressing buttons you are no longer safe, and when you create an opening, you're not looking for somebody to, like, you're not expecting to be thrown, so you're going to be getting tossed by someone mashing that one button SPD on you, you know? And there's a lot of characters who have things like that where, like, this is actually something that is a solvable problem, but when you don't know enough about the game, you don't know the answers, it feels unsolvable, so this character becomes higher in the tier list, right? And this is where, like, you know, you're like, Guile is really nuts. Like I said, he can do so much, and it takes a lot of work to, like, put him in his place. But as if the lower you are, the more of a beginner you are, the more impossible that feels. Geef similarly, because of the way command grabs force you to play around that. You have to change your play style when you don't even have a play style yet. You know, a knowledge check character is asking you to, like, approach them the way they demand you fight them on their terms, and you're like, but I barely know what my own terms are.
Right.
So this is all very important, you know, to kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about, like, oh, this character's top tier or bottom tier, and oh, the character that I use has this or that advantage. It's like the advantages that you might be thinking of are ones that don't even factor into your gameplay. So don't worry too hard about that is, I guess, the bottom line of what I'm trying to say. Don't get obsessed with the tier list too much, you know. Just pick a top tier, okay. You don't know why this person might be top tier, so if you pick them, you might not get that carry that you're looking for, you know. And in general, let the game cook. Let it simmer. Give it a second. See what happens. I guarantee you there's 15 things about every character that are critical that you don't know yet. You know?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in a strange place because I always play grapplers. And tier lists are obviously not mandatory. They're not set in stone, and to some degree they're not real. But I have to admit, I do have a little feeling in my chest that is like, okay, I'm playing Jamie and Geef, and every fucking list I see puts the two characters that I want to play at or near the bottom, and just that little spark of, like, oh, just give me a good character for what? Can I play? Oh,
Yo.
Like the one game that I played in which Geet was really good, like really good, was vanilla Street Fighter 4, except he had like a fucking 1-9 matchup against the best character in the game. So I lost all the time. Like, oh!
You know, at the same time, it's like, there's always that, and, like, welcome to the dice roll from me picking based on who I think looks cool. You never know what's going to happen, you know? But there's always the heroes with the character that show you the way, right? There's always people that are like, yeah, and I'm just going to defy those odds and do something insane. Because there's always that moment of, like, the idea where your character sucks until someone invents them and shows you that they don't, you know? There's always the Koji Cog who whips out T-Hawk, and everyone goes, T-Hawk is garbage, and he's like, oh yeah? Okay, hold this. Condor Spire. What? You know? And, like, or we always talk about Gamer B, right? But, like, it's that moment. So you don't have to, like, sweat that part of it too much. And if anything, thinking about that whole, like, there are different skills, there are different tier lists for different skills, right? Honda is fucking S tier if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner and you're playing Honda, you're gonna beat everybody. You're gonna, you know, like, I bet you, like, you're gonna go, like, I'd say all the way up through gold, all the way up through, like, you know, like, it's ridiculous. Like, there's no way you know, that anyone knows how to handle that and is ready for it, and it just feels impossible to surmount, because of the particular way that he has his advantage. You can actually do things about it. You can parry if you've got armor. You can break it. You can predict he's going to do the up splash, and you can jump back and air throw him. There's a couple things you can do, and overall let him hang himself. But it takes a lot of work, you know? So once you start seeing people that are like, oh, I see the answer, I can implement it right away, Honda starts to not be as good, you know? But up until you get there, it's a whole fucking wall to climb. And, you know, hey, again, this is where it's like, do you want to hit that button that says train against my opponent's character? You know? Because that's a really great button after your ranked matches, right? But yeah, so anyway, though, Street Fighter 6, that's the thing I saw. I put together a Blanca, but at the same time, I worked harder on Marissa, and because I'm really feeling it. I really like her. And
I should put more time in her. She's so cool, but for whatever reason, she didn't gel with me. But like, I'm realizing somebody made a comment that like mocked me in a way that actually opened up part of my brain. Like, I don't get it, man. I pick every character on the roster, but nobody like speaks to me except for Jamie and Geef. And somebody made like some snide comment of like, characters that feel like characters you've been playing for decades feel familiar. Newsflash. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, okay, fine.
That's real. That's real. No, listen, continue to Shang Tsung. This game is great for it. Continue to Shang Tsung. You know, at the very least, if you play a character for a bit and they don't click, you'll understand what you're fighting against next time. You know, but that's a great point. And yeah, man, it's always like, I always have these moments of like, I'm definitely, it's not character doubt or anything, because I can feel long term when I'm like, I see the problems, but now I just see mostly potential, and and what I see is my weakness is highlighted. And when I'm looking at my Marissa and where I choke and how I choke, for example, I choked in pools, right? In this bracket, I drowned in pools at quarterfinals, and you know, I lost a Marissa mirror, and I was like, yep, that's happened to me at the last event too. I can see that weakness.
That's a useful thing to lose out to, though.
I like, you can take a look at what was different about your playstyles, but I generally don't like mirror matches in this game, especially with her, because there's just a whole lot of nonsense armor breaking bullshit going on.
The Geef mirror is really stupid, because whoever hits the hard punch second wins the footsie exchange.
Yeah, and no, and like in Marissa, it's like whoever lets go second wins, but in some cases not so, because whoever starts,
not if it's Gladius, because Gladius will punch through.
So sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Depends on what you did, and it's crazy, right? It's just a lot of glass breaking. It's wild. But and then I got JP'd out pretty hard after that. But what I was gonna say is, at the same time as looking at that and going, all right, I gotta figure this shit out. The next day there was the Red Bull Kumite, and Big Bird just took his Marissa all the way through and ran a fucking train on everyone. And you're like, oh my god, I have work to do. You know, if you have the right fucking attitude, if you have the right ability to adapt and just do the big damage, you know, do the fucking 7K combos, you're gonna be like, yeah, okay, people have to be afraid of this no matter what. It's all about being a bully, and in some cases too, like, it's interesting because like he really didn't whiff a lot, and I kind of see where myself, where I'm like, I'm trying to play footsies with characters that have like great normals that just blow me the fuck out, punish walkbacks and things like that, and like, yeah, he's just confirming everything, you know. So I had
a bit of a I didn't talk about it last week because it wasn't super on point for the topic, but the specifics of you describing your Marissa play does unfortunately make it relevant. So last week I was playing Street Fighter, and my wife, wonderful wife, Peach Saliva, brought me a food. So I was like, oh, I'll eat a food. Well, I'll watch something. I'll watch a Say-Jam video. Why not? People recommended me a Say-Jam video called "You Don't Need Good Reflexes to Whiff Punish."
Yes.
Because I was in the middle of playing sets complaining about, I am a dog shit whiff punisher.
Okay,
Just terrible.
Sage Jam's Street Fighter 6 content is impeccable. He's been
It's great. It's fantastic.
He's been doing such a good job explaining things that are like obvious concepts for the last 20 years, but they're not necessarily communicated to and it's not super intuitive if you're coming into this and you don't know about it. He's doing a really good job with it.
Okay, so
I know the one you're talking about.
It, and somebody in the chat goes, what is almost his chat, it's an old video, says, my reactions aren't fast enough to whiff punish, and he just looks right at the camera, goes, stop typing on your keyboard. And I'm like, oh fuck, that's exactly what I've been saying for like an hour. And then he shows off like, oh, okay, whiff punishing isn't whiff punishing. And I feel like that language has actually trapped me for decades.
Amazing.
Because he even goes so far as to like, whiff punishing is not, I saw what you did and reacted with my perfect laser eyes.
But what is
super fast to, it's doing something that looks unsafe, but it's not really unsafe and gives you good spacing, and then just waiting for them to do anything at all, see any movement, and then tapping the good button. And the one that killed me is he shows off that the best way to whiff punish with Jamie is to do Jamie standing roundhouse.
Pop.
Wait a second.
Pop.
And then do another standing roundhouse.
Absolutely. Punish counter.
And I'm like, oh
big
no.
damage.
Oh, I've been stupid for 20 years.
Isn't that amazing?
I've been stupid for 20 years. And it's all because, well, one, nobody explained the right way to me. But two, it's not whiff punishing. It's not what it actually is.
So don't go too hard now. Hold on a minute. So there is a large category called whiff punishing. And whiff punishing, for those who don't know, whiff, W-H-I-F-F, punishing is when somebody whiffs a button and then you hit that button on its recovery and then get your combo out, right? You're playing a game of like fishing for something. But what you saw there when he was describing how to do something how to get a whiff punish without having the reaction time for it, that's called a spacing trap. There's a term for that, right? A spacing trap, like a frame trap, is automatic. So a frame trap is basically, I'm going to hit a button, and then that button is going to let me act first, so that if you try to do anything, the next button I hit will beat it, right? And you don't have to actually like think about whether or not something else is coming there. You just hit 1 into 2, and then sometimes you'll get that hit if they press the button.
So for my personal experience, Zangief's forward headbutt, if it hits, I'm gonna win the exchange. Like nothing is fast enough to beat the advantage I have off of that if it hits.
Yes. So make no mistake, top players, good players, people who are very strong, when I'm fucking, playing anyone who's really good at this game, there's that thing where they're looking at the button that I'm pressing in front of them, seeing me whiff it, and with their reactions, hitting a button to blow it up, right? There's a saying, there's a lot of little, like, fucking MTLSF sayings, one of which is don't test reactions, because it's like, no. If we're standing here in neutral, and I put something out there, and you walked back in time, I have the speed to see it, call it out, and hit my best button, and then get a big punish on it. That is a clean whiff punish in the same way you thought of it for the last 20 years. That is based on pure reaction time. However, in addition to having that skill, I also have some pre-baked spacing traps. And what a spacing trap is one, it's something that does not require me to even know or react to what you're doing, because I'm going to hit you with a thing at the tip, and the buttons that you usually would press to like exchange to take your turn afterwards are actually going to fall short, and I know they're going to fall short because I've practiced this exact tip distance. So I'm going to hit the button at the tip, then you're going to do something, and that thing
I'm going to wait a half second.
Give it a second,
you can hit a button,
and then automatically I'm going to hit the next button and punish the thing that you did. That is, and that's all dependent on spacing, not based on reaction time. And once you layer in all of these things into your gameplay, you start to turn the 50-50s into 75-25s into 100 zeros. You start going, okay, I know at this distance I can do this, and then this comes next, you know? And now you cannot go all the way. There's a limit to how far any given technique will take you. But
yeah, you can't do that 5 times in a row.
No, and you're going to fight people. You're going to fight people, unless people don't adapt, right? In which case you can just test them and see what's up. But you're going to fight people who do have the speed that you're afraid of, that you're like, I don't have that reaction time, and they do. That's going to be a problem. But they do have little tricks like this to make up for it. And there's a lot of making up for it that goes into a solid game plan, you know? Yeah, so that's exactly a perfect, you know, thing about footsies and such. And the layering of getting good at footsies is like the same information you have about how to play a good Geef. People who have been playing Street Fighter since World Warrior Forward and getting good at it have that baked in information, you know? Like Reggie's footsie game is incredible. It's fucking super strong.
It's been much better than mine.
He's been playing fucking Ryu for goddamn the history of the thing, so it's all in there, you know. But you can make up for it with these little bits, you know. What I can do is
I'm watching Big Bird just beat the piss out of JP.
Yeah.
In this Kumite fight, like holy hell.
Right. So Gladius can call out some buttons as well. I can just nope, I don't think so. But there's downsides, right? In this particular tournament, I was running some long casuals with a really good Kimberly player called Dimensional. Shoutouts, he's a really cool guy. And we basically, like, I was seeing myself whiffing Gladius, kind of like, you know, Big Bird does some big whiffs, right? And I was seeing myself whiffing it, and as soon as the fist was out, from the maximum distance, he would just blow my shit up, hit me with like a standing medium kick, and then go into an insane full Kairi combo. To all the way to the corner, and I was like, "Yep, there's a risk to everything you do here," you know. So anyway, not to get too long-winded on it, but there's little things you can do, you know, and these tricks will help you, and of course things to go study. Like I gotta go look at the tapes. I've been following most of how Big Bird's been rocking the Marissa, but like the fact that the proof is in the pudding there, and then you see the Mena Blanca, it's like, all right, man, okay, Woolie. You got to do it. It's on you if you want to improve. You know, you got to find those holes in your play and fill them with pseudo defenses. Right. At the same time, I also saw a bunch of stuff this weekend where it was like a ton of characters have little tricks where in the corner they'll do a combo and then they'll do like a little reset. They'll tap you. You'll flip out right into a drive impact and splat on the wall.
So, I stole this from one of Sajam's videos, but when he stole it from somebody else's match footage,
it's tech.
But like, Jamie has his level 3 that pops you up, and then you jump up in the air and do the heavy kick, just pop, and then they land into light kick, into drive impact, into a dizzy.
Yep, and that's so I lost to that at too many games.
Oh, it's so cool.
Right? And then I was watching a Wolfgang video where it was like, straight up, it's like, oh, no, I've seen that before. And like pop, kick, flip out, counter drive impact right away. You know, it's like, I've seen this setup before. You're not sneaking that in there. And a bunch of characters have that setup. So it's now on you who hears this to go, let me see what that setup is for these characters so that when it happens to me, I'm ready for it. You know, and this is independent of whoever you're playing as and your game plan. It just doesn't hurt you to know that this little trick in the corner might happen to me. You know. Anyway, moving on, because yeah, we can go. But Street Fighter 6 was a great time, and shout outs to Rami, as well as Chunk Brixon, who I did commentary with in Top 8.
That's a great name.
Yeah,
that's an incredible name.
It was a very fun Top 8, and Flux Waves took it again, you know, but like was challenged by this new kid, Zycles from Ottawa with Spunk, who basically showed up on the scene and was like, "Hey, nice to meet you guys. Run the set, money match me right away." and like was like straight up going for money matches and pools and just being a little gremlin in the bracket, you know, like was like, oh, he's like, I think you guys underseeded me, you know, I don't want to cause too many upsets, and they're just like, okay, well then prove it, and then he got to fucking grand finals, so he proved it, you know. Kind of incredible. Just watching that kind of attitude and the young man reactions. He's got the moxie, you know. That kid is fucking. He's doing it. He's putting in the work and he's showing it off. But like, yeah. But Flux Waves is just too much of a wall.
Money matches can be dangerous. You got to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.